Bum, bum, bum. Get rid of my ads. What's up, everybody? Good to be back at a live. No live last Thursday. What's up, Woodchuck? Last tool standing finale tomorrow is at the Acme Tools thing. Tomorrow, final. What's up, Sizzle Neck? Todd Turner, Someway, Denny O'Fools, BMCK, Bowery Boy, Matt HMM. I'm trying to think about it. I think I saw Lance Anderson maybe up in the very beginning earlier. TPG. I think that's better, buddy. I need to actually go to all comments though and not top. Let me see. And hit do not disturb so that something doesn't cut me off. What's up, Erica? Roy Phipps, Rick Hawkins. Yeah, so last Thursday we were gone to Savannah, Georgia. So that's why I didn't have a live last Thursday and did the Work Pro tool bench video. I did it at the same time as the live so that I did it as a premiere. That way, if you guys wanted to chat, you'd still be able to. What's up, Terry Burton? It's a pretty good trip. The weather was nice the whole time we were there. Missed maintenance didn't get pulled over any while we were in Georgia, so that was good. They were out and about like crazy though, which basically me or my son drove the whole time we were in Georgia. Yeah, today's the first day I worked with shorts on today because it's finally starting to get warmer, and I was actually working today. I was working in an attic. It was a walk-in attic, but it was still an attic. There wasn't no heat and air in there or anything. So installing some shelves for some storage and then putting in some light fixture. Got the old white legs glowing. No tan on them yet. That was one of the biggest perks for me of like moving out of the factory. So whenever I worked in factories, some of them I had to wear like fire retardant clothes and all that kind of stuff. Just depends on which one it was I was working at, and had to wear long sleeves and pants, and it was always so hot. And then whenever I went to work for the campus that I worked for, they kind of had a rule there that you had to wear pants, like you couldn't wear shorts. And summer times was hot and be working outside all the time. And I finally talked them into letting us wear shorts over the course of time after I was about 10 years in or so. But now that I work for myself, nobody gets to tell me what I'm going to wear. After a while with pants on, you have to get used to not banging your legs in shorts. And I hate the no shorts rule. Yeah, there's a lot of companies that don't like it, which it is probably a little bit safer, I guess, in some sense. Like what you were just saying, get used to not banging your legs. Like you're more likely to probably get like a scrape or something wearing shorts because you don't have that barrier between you. But should have been wearing yoga pants for the thumbnail. I had thought about it a long time ago. I kept watching all the medical people wear scrubs all the time, and I always thought they looked like they'd be super comfortable. There for a little while, I kind of teetered on. I might buy, not for my business. Whenever I worked for the other place, I was like, I might buy scrubs and try wearing them to work in for a while. SPLD versus CDLD, so it'd be the CBLD question mark, because what Chris with AK93 said, I don't know. I've only got the CP or CBLD, but I think I have a CP or I'm already getting them all mixed up. I have a CBLD. That's what I just got from Jeff Bowery, and I've only been running it for a few days. It goes a tarp just fell, and then but I think I've got a SPLD maybe coming, so I don't know when I'll get it. Texas Heat and Pants Boo. Yeah, so I worked for a Valspar at one in a factory for Valspar. Now they didn't make the paint that you get at like Lowe's or Sherwin Williams or like any of that kind of stuff, like the paint that you normally go buy to paint walls and stuff. What we made was the paint that you bake on like metal roofing panels, refrigerator panels, all that kind of stuff like that. And man, it was so hot in that place, and you had to wear fire retardant long sleeve pants and shirts, and it was miserable. Yeah, today I wore shorts just because I think it got up in the I don't even know what it is outside right now. It probably got up in the 80s, I guess, which isn't. I mean, it's nice. Like to me, I would have been fine wearing pants if I was only not working in the attic today. But I'm glad the shorts weather is getting here. Like I prefer wearing shorts and short sleeve shirts. J. Dot Inc. My SPLD arrived Saturday. Nice. Yeah, so there's a subscriber on the channel, and he sent me the stuff for his guest of trades, but I'm pretty sure I haven't done it yet. I don't think. I can't remember. It might be the next one for all I know. I've got to try to get that film tomorrow. I've had a crazy busy week because if you're self-employed and you work for by yourself, which another guy works with me, we work together some, but he's still his own business. But like anytime you take off work, like to go on vacation or whatever, like somebody else isn't magically doing your jobs for you while you're gone. So you end up like this whole week's just been crazy, like since I've gotten back and then trying to get caught up. Ariat rebar M5 jeans. BMCK misses shorts at work. Yeah, the shorts was a big change for me coming out of the factories and going to, and then whenever I finally could wear them at where I was working at. And then the next big thing for me was not having to wear it from factories to uh like this kind of work that I'm doing now is the steel toe shoes, not having to wear like I had to wear steel toe shoes, the safety glasses, the earplugs, all it like all the time, 100% of the time while you're on the floor. So then you get out of that and you're like, oh, well, I don't have to wear them now, so I'm not going to wear them. So I don't probably wear the kind of shoes most people would wear to work in a lot of times, just because I had to wear them for so long. I'm just like, I'm not wearing them things again. They're too heavy. Some way said for a few years there, I was seeing young Hispanic men wearing skinny jeans while framing or drywall. Slimmer pants are a good thing around nails and sharp stuff, less to get caught on. Yeah, I've never been I can't wear, I just started. I might have a couple pairs of maybe some what I would call, I guess, regular fit or straight leg, I guess. And they're more of a thin pant, like like a stretchy type pant type of thing. So those don't bother me as bad, I don't think. But as far as jeans and all that, like I've always been boot cut, relaxed fit. I can't stand my stuff being so tight. Daisy Dukes. Yeah, it's time to break out the Daisy Dukes and my Columbia shirts. Eventually I'll get to where I'm not wearing a shirt under the Columbia shirts. That's when it's really nice, when the weather's really nice. Start getting the breeze. Is that hummingbird food? Yeah, I got this. It was on clearance back there at the back of in the Lowe's back aisle clearance for like $1 a can or something like that. So I bought a Perky Pet Nectar Rouge. Kind of wonder what it tastes like. Mimics real flower nectar. I bet it's sweet as all get out. Let's see what's in it. The number one ingredient is EAU. So is that U, I guess? And then saccharose, acidic, citric, and then extra. Let's see. Let me read it in my own language. I just realized that I was reading the water is whatever EU is. So water, sucrose, citric acid, fruit and vegetable extracts for color, sodium benzoate, and potassium sorbate. Total sugar, not less than 22%. What's up, Tom? Most women in Tennessee you don't want to see stuffed into Daisy Dukes. Yeah, so it was a pretty good trip. We went to the Tybee Island one night and then the next day, and then we went basically all downtown in Savannah, just checking out old buildings and looking at stuff. And we ate at the old Pink House. We ate lunch there one day. That's a place where you got to put like reservations in pretty far in advance if you want to eat there, and it was pretty good. It was expensive, but it's pretty good. It wasn't as bad for like we ate lunch there instead of dinner. The dinner prices was a lot more expensive. But that way, it was my son's birthday, so we took him there for his birthday on that day. Sounds like a chemical cocktail. Yeah, I'm not sure what would happen if you drunk it. Might be the best. It might be the best thing ever. It might taste awesome, and you start drinking hummingbird drinks for your energy drinks. It's replacing Monster. Yeah, I haven't picked up much in the way of tools in the last, of course, all last week. For the most of it, I was out of town, so there wasn't any really even looking and stuff for tools or anything like that. And then, other than getting that CBLD in the mail from Jeff, I haven't really. I went to Lowe's and Home Depot, which my Home Depot now has gotten rid of the clearance like in sections. They don't even have them; like they're gone. They got rid of both of them, and now they kind of just put stuff a little bit on clearance throughout the store. So now you got to walk around the whole store looking for clearance stuff instead of going to one spot. I hate that because like a lot of times I go and kill time between jobs. Like if I've got an extra 30 minutes or something before I'm supposed to be somewhere and I'm by Home Depot or I'm by Lowe's, I'll just pull in there and just go straight to the clearance sections and see if they got anything. And I ain't got time to be looking around the whole store. So I don't know if y'all's have been doing that, but that's the way mine is now. They got rid of one. Normally mine's always had two spots. They got rid of one, and then now they've gotten rid of both of them. Son liking the new place, finding stuff for you to fix. Yeah, I actually just went over there the other day. I've mostly just been, I went over and hung stuff up for him and did a few things like that. But the other day, he called me and said his thermostat was blank, and then it wasn't running. And I know that he had because I already kind of walked through the house to kind of see where stuff was and all that. And I said, "Well, I don't think your thermostat has batteries in it. I think it's powered." But he had already took it off to look and see if that was the case. And I said, "I know that yours has it's got one of the floats switches on the condensate line." I said, "I know yours has that, and if they've got it wired how most people wire them, it will make your thermostat go blank." I said, "So your condensate line might be blocked up, but I'll stop by there and look at it." So I stopped by there and look at it. That was already in my mind. So that's what I went and checked first. It was bone dry. Like that was not it. So then I started looking around. So I checked the 3 amp fuse and it was blown. So then I went out. I just stuck another one in, blew right away. And I didn't have my little popper on me because it's in that bag and I didn't have that bag on me. So I went outside And I wish I'd have filmed this because it's like I don't know why I didn't film it because it was at my son's house and I I don't remember, maybe I had another job I had to go to or something, I guess. But so I go outside and the because usually that's where your short and your wire is. It's out there by the outside unit 9 times out of 10. So I went outside and it's only got 2 wires going out there. Neither one of them had wire nuts on them. So they were just 2 wires twisted together, no wire nuts on them at all. One of them, it was red and a white wire. The white wire was like shredded pretty much, and both of them were sitting on the copper line set pipe. So something must have, over the course of time, wind blowing, lawnmower people, I don't know, somehow moved those wires to make them touch the copper pipe, and that's what ended up blowing the fuse and was causing the short. So took that all apart, got that fixed, went in there, powered it up, and I checked the outside unit. It was running. Well, then he messaged me later that night. I didn't stay long because, again, I think I was going to another job. I didn't stay long, so then I left. Everything was running. The thermostat was powered up. Outside unit was running. I got my truck and left. And then he messaged me later that night and said, "It's not getting cold in here. You know, the fan's blowing, but it's not get like it's 8 degrees higher than whatever it was set for." So then I went back by there the next day and ended up being his thermostat. It was calling for cooling, but it wasn't sending, like the thermostat must have got messed up whenever the fuse blew because it was calling for cooling, but then the outside unit, his inside unit was running, but the outside unit wasn't running. It wasn't getting 24 volts. So then I ended up changing out his thermostat. And now it's been running good for a couple days, but that's the most part was that. And then other than that, it's been mostly just been hanging up pictures and TVs and that kind of stuff like that. Slack install, yeah, it was crazy. Like I wish I had some wires in there. I'd even show you, but I mean, just 2 wires. I read it because they had a junction out there because they probably have replaced it at some point in time, and just wires twisted together, no wire nuts on them, just out in the open. And then they ended up touching. Like I said, other than it's just bad for the weather aspect of it, but they ended up getting moved and touching that copper pipe is what ended up doing it. Big Sugar is sneaky and shameless. The son of Joey and can't hang a picture. Oh, he probably could. Actually, he did hang some. We basically did all that the day we moved him. We were already over there, so I was just helping him hang pictures. Oh, I did change some of his locks and stuff too, because he had I changed his back door lock to a double keyed deadbolt because he's got a glass window and he's not going to go in and out his back door very often. So I told him, I said, if it's me, he needed to change the lock anyways because he didn't have a key for it. I said, I just put a double key one on there and then put your key, like there's a cabinet right there next to it. And I said, and then that way, if you ever want to go in and out, you just get that key and unlock it. But that way, if somebody can't just put their hand through your window and then unlock it, which if somebody goes that far, they're going to get in there anyways. But I had to change some locks because he didn't have any keys. You saved him a $200 service call. Yeah, the first day was, like I said, not too bad. I wasn't there very long, but then that second day, because I had to go through the whole process because it just wasn't making sense to me. Because whenever I left the first day, the outside unit was running. Like I went and looked at it before I left. Like I said, I didn't stay there very long, but it was running. So I assumed everything was going to be working right. But then the next day, whenever I went out there, it wasn't running at all, and I had to go through the whole process of in my mind thinking of what it was, and I just went to the thermostat and took the red and yellow wires out and put them together, and then everything started running. So I was like, "Well, this thermostat's bad, I guess," because the thermostat appeared to be good, like looking at it, and it was clicking. You could even hear it click. You could hear it do all sorts of things. And just there's something inside that. It was like a fancy digital thermostat, so I'm sure they got something inside of it that whenever that short happened, it probably did something to like a little board or something. Thank you for getting the CBLD video out so quickly. How much bigger is it than the TPLD? I don't think it's crazy bigger than the TPLD because it might be taller. It's probably the same amount taller because the SBLD is probably a lot like the TPLD. So whatever my difference was between the two, I think that's probably about what it was. And like I said, hopefully I'll get a SPLD here pretty soon. The single box I had to replace a switch in had 3 grounds, 3 lows, 3 neutrals, and a traveler, and the techno switch was fat. Now I understand vote claws and lineman pliers. Yeah, you run into some stuffed stuff sometimes. I've went into some junction boxes in like attics and stuff sometimes where people have came off of them 4 or 5 times to go to stuff that I mean, every single hole on that whole entire outside of that box has something going in it. And then occasionally they might put a extension ring on the top of it, but even that's pretty rare. It's usually just crammed in there. Matter of fact, a lot of times they don't even put a cover back on them. They're just big knob of wires hanging out of them. And somebody would say, "Handy Andy strikes again," but I'm telling you right now, I've actually hired electricians and went to look at it after, and they did that. Licensed electricians. I'll be curious to see if you like the new Vito bag more than the SPMC bag. It's going to be a big change, and it's mostly going to be. I'm going to try to see if I can fit enough stuff out of this because I think I might go ahead and put my. Again, not that I don't like this bag. I try different stuff more so because you guys ask questions, so I try things to try to get answers for stuff. So every now and then I just swap tool bags just to try stuff out. But I think I'm gonna put my Klein tester, my 450 back in the pack out case because that's the one that takes up the most room in here. But there's a few tools in here that I'm gonna see if I can fit that in with my SPMC loadout and see if I can carry just that bag for a while and not have this in my truck. But we'll see. It's pretty nice to have this set up that way though, because but it does take up a whole extra, spot in my truck to have an extra bag. Fat Clint sticker looks great next to the Bowery boy. What's your most efficient way to use nut drivers, M12 in the nut driver bits, or is there a more efficient way? For the most part, I use like the nut drivers in, like, I don't use like dedicated nut driver screwdrivers like these or anything anymore. And I used to. Oh, I want a PB Swiss screwdriver. Used to, I carried these two, quarter and 5/16 long time ago, back before, but pretty much ever since the Malco's quarter and 5/16, I don't hardly carry that's probably about the time I quit carrying like these in a tool bag. Now these used to be standard deals in a tool bag, but now that you got the flip sockets, and then also I've got those Klein, the hollow nut drivers bits that they'll stay in my bag all the time. So a lot of times that's what I end up using. But I pretty much because I can put them even in my vessel screwdriver or surge or whatever. So I don't normally carry dedicated nut driver screwdrivers anymore. That's the Gen 1 flat Bowery. I have typed 8 comments about stickers, had to space Fat and Clint so YouTube would post. Yeah, it's everything to do with if you ever comment on a video and it doesn't show up, or like if you make a post and it doesn't show up, or you comment in here and it doesn't show up. As far as I know, I've got all my settings set to allow pretty much everything. Like, but that's like YouTube still does stuff whether you say it's okay or not. Like they still have certain things that they block out no matter what. Doesn't matter if I said it was okay or not, they're still going to do it. What's the difference between the new? Let me get my CBLDs in my truck. Let me grab it real fast. Because somebody else actually asked that in a comment, and I haven't had the time to check it out to answer the comment yet. So that's CBLD here. There's MCTP, but he was asking about this one. But to give you an idea on the height, y'all see that all three of those? I don't know. Yeah, you should be able to. So it's fairly similar to the MCT Blackout. It's a little skinnier, maybe overall like this way, but height wise, pretty similar. And then the biggest thing about the MCT for me, for like to be the only bag, like that's why I always tell anybody, if you're going to only carry one bag, like if I wasn't a person who just tried a bunch of stuff, I'd still be rocking this bag right here. I have no problems with it whatsoever. Like it's a great bag. But the fact that you've got two sides, to be able to load tools into, which I've got a bulk panel on this one, I think, but versus like most other bags, that was the big thing for the MB5B for me, was I just couldn't fit as much stuff in it because you really only got the one side to put tools in. I think I need some bit holders. So you can get a lot of tools in this because of that, versus this one, you're only going to be able to, put it in this one side. Somebody was making a mention, I just commented not too long ago, saying that they've been using this for a while now because they've got it longer than me. And he was saying he's had it happen, like he'll come in here and grab this and this thing will tip forward on him. Probably depends on how much weight you might have in that. But you're definitely going to fit more tools, even though it's the same size, similar size. You're going to fit more tools in this because you got two sides. I do like the new look Vito's got going on though, because it's kind of like a mesh between Blackout and like the old original stuff. So like you still got some of this, but you got some Blackout, type stuff going on too. So then you even still got some brown leather, here. Like it's a total mix of stuff. I kind of like it. Just in time for the white leg reveal. A macro bit can do that unless it has some serious threads. YouTube's been squirrely the last few days. All the lives you're in has the video and audio out of sync. I don't think I've watched anybody's live in the last little bit. I actually just was catching up on some videos I haven't watched. I've got a lot to catch up on. I just watched the new Perkins Builder, and then I also just watched the Handyman Experience. I was watching that before I came out here. He was working on a toilet, cleaning out all the ports and all that stuff. Like I was like, man, by the time he did all that, I'm like, I think I'd have went and bought a new toilet. Like, because the toilet was pretty rough shape looking too. But if you're working for a property manager, though, sometimes getting them to spend the money on what you should do is half the battle. Got to say wire before strippers. What's the bag on the left? That's the Tech MCT Blackout. Tech MCT Blackout, Tech MCTP Infrared, and then CB LD. Would be nice if the new bag had the same shelf-like fold down as the Tech Pack. Yeah, was it you, Dank Farmer? Because that seems familiar to me. Like, was it you that was telling me that you got it and you were having a problem with it tipping? It was just like a comment just not too long ago, but I was answering a bunch of comments and it's hard for me to remember who did it. Like you were, somebody was saying they were having a problem with the tipping and they just assumed this thing folded all the way down and didn't have this right here, type of thing. I think that's the big difference between the SPLD and the CBLD is the side pockets, because you're going to get the little pouches and stuff like these. No, not that. That's the MP1, but I should have, like these. You'll get these with the SPLD and not have the outside pockets, which I much prefer that. Like I'd rather have no outside pockets. But I don't think the front has that extra webbing stuff to get it to open up a little bit more. So you might have a harder time getting some tools, or you might not be able to fit like an M12 in it, like what I have there. I don't know yet because I don't have it, but looking at pictures, that's what it kind of looks like. I rock the Tex MCT, love it. Yeah, it's probably been because like I like this bag, the look of it and everything better, but it just adding them onto the side, it makes it like feel a whole lot bigger. Like, and it's nice to have those, but to fit it in your truck, to like fit it in like a tight spot, maybe if you're working in a small little closet where a furnace is or something like that, it's harder to fit this into a room, than it is like something like one of these or something like that. It's even that little amount of it being that little amount bigger, it's a big difference. They sell a acid soak that cleans those ports on the toilet pretty good. What's up, Just Work? HVAC. What's up, Timinator? Don't be waving that crazy DeWalt knife. Hopefully get the MCT Evo before the sale ends. That between that and the SPLD was but the SPLD wasn't, I don't think it was in the tier, because I wasn't going to get a bag unless I was going to get this for free. Like I wasn't going to buy one. Of course, now I've got that. So, but I still would buy an MCT Evo because I know how much I love this bag. So like just to have the option later, because I am going to buy an Evo pouch and an Evo meter bag. Like no matter what, I'm buying those two things. But just so I have it, and if I can get another one of these with it for free, and then turn around and sell one of these, that just takes some price off of the MCT Evo. So that'd be the only reason why I might still buy one. We'll just have to see how it works out though, because I know for a fact like this is, again, one bag only. It's what I tell everybody if they ask me. Like if I'm only going to carry one all the time, and it's got to hold a decent amount of tools, and it's not like a 90% bag type thing, like you carry several things, it's hard to beat that because it's got the two sides and it's just not overly big. Like it's not crazy. Like even the Tech Pack MC is drastically bigger than this. Of course, that's empty right now, so that's not that heavy. But like this, having those two little extra things makes a difference. I love the look of this one though. It's probably my favorite looking bag. Is this one. Oh, the knife, if you haven't seen it, it's on Just. So you're talking to Just Work. Okay. I was gonna say I don't think I got a DeWalt knife back there. I got a DeWalt box with some anchors in it. I may end up with a new Evo when it comes out. Woodchuck said, "You can send me a free veto." Random question: do you have any need for chisels? I asked because that's one type of tool I can't recall seeing your review. I use some from time to time, mostly on door work and stuff like that. And then I've got like beater chisels that you just use on whatever and just run them. But only thing I might have a review for. Hang on, I gotta get a drink. I still have a little bit of a cough. I think the only chisel set I did a review for, and I keep them in my truck. I'm still gonna cough. Are the fast cap foldable knives? I got the whole set. I'll grab them real fast because they're pretty easy to get to. Oh, dropped them. Now I got my drawer stuck. I said it was easy to get to, but I got something going on with my drawer. Oh, I see what you are. These are the only ones I keep in my truck, and it's just because it's a whole set, and it's pretty compact. So you got a 1/4 inch, half inch, 3/4, 1 inch, and then this is a sharpener, a rasp, and then a putty knife. So you really only got 4 chisels, but they're pretty compact. And then you can hammer on these, but you don't want to, like, I wouldn't wail on them. But I mean, I've hit them and chiseled out door stuff, strike plates, stuff like that. That's mostly whenever I end up using them, working on doors. So far, they've been pretty good. I've never used them on anything except for softer type wood. So I haven't had to sharpen them or do anything like that. So I don't know to that degree what you use them on, how well they do. Woodchuck saw the Evo. Yeah, he sent me some pictures too, and I appreciate that. For the most part, I use my router for most things that people use chisels on doors, and then because I've got little Ryobi jigs and stuff like that that work pretty well, and it's just way cleaner. But the strike plate that goes over on the jam, you can't usually get your router in there. I've been meaning to make myself, but then there's so many different places where I go. I'd have to make something that's kind of adjustable, but then you have to worry about it being in the right spot with the jig to make something adjustable. Because I work in several places where like you might have 5/8 drywall on both sides, so the jam's a little wider, and then your trim sometimes they use 3/4 trim, sometimes they use the regular casing stuff. So it's pretty hard to make something like a jig to do that side of the strike plate without having something that you drill holes into the jam. They're on stink bug. Without having something that you drill holes into the jam, then you got to fix those. So I don't ever want to do that. But if anybody's got a good router jig that does the strike plate, like a standard one, throw it to me in an email. Interested to see the new Vito MBS Evo meter bag, but it seems a little pricey. I saw the American Electrician had one on his Fluke. Looks pretty cool. Yeah, I'd like to, because there's a lot, kind of like my Fluke where I built the magnet thing. So if you can put it inside that case and then use that magnet, it's kind of the same. You're kind of adding a magnet feature like how the field piece have. I'm more interested in getting a pouch that's like that than I am a meter pouch, but I'll probably go ahead and get a meter pouch. I'm more interested in getting like an MP2, whatever they're MB. I guess they're going to be the MB or MP. I don't know what the numbers are on those. Probably look it up. I don't know what I did with my Vito catalog actually. In here, yeah. MP. So it's the same thing, just MP2 and then Evo, MP1 and Evo is the part numbers instead of having the X on it. Appreciate that, Mike. Do you need a minute to get into your drawers? At work, somebody said he uses the Fast Cat folding chisels all the time. I like them better than that. Like I've also got an Irwin or no, Stanley. Stanley's the one I've got, but there's an Irwin one that's just like it. I've got that one, but I much prefer these, like to that one. That one's more of my. That one I keep in my truck in a drawer and use that kind of like my beater. Just, I mean, it doesn't matter to me if it's concrete, whatever. I get that one out and use it for that, and then these I just use for just wood. Just work. Let me send you some of my stickers. Yeah, for sure. I've got a whole jug of stickers up here that I've been getting in the last little bit that I'm going to do something with eventually, but I'm waiting until I get my stuff all situated to decide what I'm going to do. I might have at the end of this, I'll take y'all around and show you what I've got done on the garage. I haven't worked on it much since the I did a live putting up some sheathing. Well, then after that, I've got all my sheathing up except for like the small pieces where my electrical's going to go. And then I've got to do some framing in my other closet over here on this wall to extend it up so I can put my drop ceiling in. But all the like whole pieces are up in here and the other garage and all that stuff. But I'll kind of go show you that when we get closer to the end, maybe. What's up, Dan the Fisherman? But I'm gonna do a whole sticker or something. I haven't decided. I've done both of these so that I can put a sliding door on them, like a barn door on the other side. I originally was gonna put a door on that and make it like a sticker door, and I still may, but I don't know for sure if I'm going to or not, since I'm probably gonna leave it open most of the time, since that's my doorway to get into the other part of the garage. But I am gonna put a sliding door on this side over here for sure, because sometimes when I film flashlight videos, if my free time is 2 o'clock in the afternoon and I've got a flashlight that I want to film, well, I can't make it dark outside. And so if I can make it to where, because I won't have any lights in there at all unless I flip a switch. So it's separate from everything else. And like here, I've got daylight coming in my garage door windows and the man door window. So it's never like dark in here. But I can go over there and shut that door and it should be like pitch dark. And then, I'll have all my shelves with tools and stuff in there. So you'll be able to see how bright it gets kind of in that kind of space. Cause I'm more interested in that whenever I review a flashlight than how much light it puts outside anyways, because that's not how I use flashlights. Like I'm not using them outside to light up the woods because I'm using mine for work. So I'm normally working in a dark space, I want to see how much of a, like, if I light this up in a little room, how much light do I get? That's what I care about more than, how much light can I see outside. Just Work HVAC's page 62. Yeah, I was thinking you were in that catalog. Page 62. Rodolfo Vargas. And then you said page 69 is a family friend. Sky Tucker. I was thinking I saw where maybe it was on Instagram. I saw maybe you said something about you were in the catalog or something. Miles Craft has decent jigs you can get at Lowe's. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've had a few strike plate router jigs. I probably even have. I've had Miles Craft hinge jigs and stuff. I think I might have had the strike, but they were always set up in a way where you had to like screw them to the jam and then route it out and then take those screws out, which leaves you two screw holes. And I don't want to do that. I'd just soon use a chisel and not have to do some kind of putty work on some screw holes. So I don't know if they make something that you can kind of clamp around the door jamb, but it would again have to be adjustable because I work so many different thickness walls and trim and stuff. Terminator still using the Olight Art Pro light. I mostly use the EDC09 right now, Nightcore. It's a flex head, so it's like the Olight Arc Flex, but Nightcore's version of it. That's the one I keep in my. That's the one I grab the most. But I really like the flex head. Like, pretty hard for me to go away from that because I use it quite a bit. Like I tilt especially if I put it on my hat, I can kind of get the light exactly where I want it, type of thing. Or even if you use the magnet on the back end, you can get the light where you want it, type of thing. What's up, Elliot? Was you around Stud Pack at the IBS show on Sidewalk where Paul's son Jordan tried to jump? No, but if you watch somebody had a video that I watched of the IBS. It might have been Stud Pack's video, but no, it was somebody else's. And they were over talking to, they went over to, oh, it was the WKD, you got it, coach guy. I was watching his IBS video. And whenever he goes over and talks to Paul and Jordan from Stud Pack at the Sashko booth, I just got done talking to Paul right then. Like, Paul walked off from me to go talk to him because he was over there whenever I was there too. So I did see Paul and Jordan and Rad at IBS, but I didn't see him eating it and messing up his shoulder. Does anyone else feel if you don't use a 20% off Lowe's coupon before it expires, you'd lose money? Yeah, and that I get Home Depot ones all the time for like 10% off of 100 or $10 off your next in-store purchase of 100. They send me them things all the time. I always end up using them I just go in there and I use them on usually job materials and stuff like that just to use them. ArcFlex has been discontinued. Yeah, I know that. That's why I still have mine. It's in here, but I swapped over to that EDC09 just to try it out. And then I just kept it in my truck. They showed it on their own video also. I saw Jordan eat it. I'm saying I wasn't there whenever that happened. Yeah, I saw the little video of him doing that. What's up, Travis Williamson? No Bucky's brisket sandwich. No, I had some. I made myself 2 hamburger patties and put cheese on them, and then I ate. Amanda made a roast and some stuff today. I ate a little bit of that when I got home. New Bucky's in San Marcos announced. Yeah, I have a Bucky's like literally maybe 10 minutes away from me, I guess. So it's not too far. It may be a little bit more than 10 minutes, but it's probably not much more than that. So that makes it lose its luster once it's so close to you that you can just go anytime you want to. I actually haven't been there for a while though. Like we haven't been there for a while. Which I haven't been eating a lot of like sweets, and of course barbecue sauce is pretty much sugar sauce too most of the time. Barbecue sauce is about like ketchup. Video and audio slightly out of sync. Yeah, if that's the case, it's a YouTube thing because like there ain't nothing I can do to control that on the live. I'm sure it's something to do with like them taking my recording and then them putting it back out there. Forgot to tell me Scott from Noster says hello. Yeah, I'd like to go to a show like the one that you were at that has more of the like tool companies. Like the IBS is nice, and it's nice for someone like me who owns a business and you do a lot of things and you just want to see new products and stuff. Because like it wasn't really a tool show, it's more of a product show. There just so happens to be some tool companies there. And I had been to it before and I already knew that going into it, but I just decided it was in Orlando, and I found really cheap flights to get back and forth. And I got the tickets for free by going through Perkins Builder Brothers. They were like giving away like 25. I saw it on like a YouTube short or something. If you logged in with their code, you could get your registration for free. So I didn't have to pay that. So that's the only reason why I decided to go. But I'd rather go to like one of the ones where it's like pretty much just tools, meat, and some stuff. Yeah, all I can do is hit the record button somewhere or hit the go live button. That's the only control I have of the YouTube. That's like even they don't even let you do a lot of zooming in and out and all that kind of stuff. Like there's very the doing a live is different than you filming something. Like you have really no say in a lot of it, like how it works. Best no kink lay flat air hose. I couldn't tell you. I've had an air hose reel sitting over here. It's probably been there for who knows how long. I don't even know where I got it. Probably Harbor Freight or something like that. And I don't use air hoses on my jobs or anything anymore. I pretty much have battery powered everything. The only thing I get out that's a cord type thing is an extension cord every now and then. Like today, I took a table saw. It's pretty much about it, really. I took my job site DeWalt table saw because I knew I was gonna have to rip because the shelves was building was tying into their trusses, and they were all coming in at an angle, so I had to cut like a 19-degree on some of the frame and stuff, and then 19-degree on the edge of the plywood to make the shelf come out right. So that's really the only reason why I even took a table saw, because if not, I would have just done it with a circular saw. But I didn't want to have to sit there and mess with doing that angle. YouTube, like I said, has been on that way for several days on lives. Yeah, I'm sure it's something to do with like because I'm sure there's a delay. In fact, I know there is because like what I'm watching on my screen is like 2 or 3 minutes after the fact of like what I've just said or whatever movements I'm doing. It's pretty big delay. So I'm sure they take the footage and do something with it and to put it back out for it to be streaming. And if something probably gets out of whack, you should have tracked all that angle. Yeah, I already had my truck full of. I had like 32 by 4s, 6 sheets of OSB, which luckily my buddy went with me, so he got the OSB. But I had my miter saw, and then I took my table saw instead of the track saw just because of I didn't want to mess with the whole tracks and all that. I didn't have a lot of room in my truck with the supplies I had because I would actually rather all the cuts I made today. I would have 10 times rather done it with my track saw because I was doing the 4x8 sheets, running it through that table saw, and I don't really have a stand for that, and I didn't have room for my DeWalt table in my truck either. So I basically took two of my Craftsman sawhorses and put 2x4s across it and stuck that on it. So it was like it's a little bit sketchy, but I got it done. Is there an adapter for turning your circular saw into a track saw? There's quite a few things out there that where you can. Like I know Craig's got a jig. I want to say there's probably some other ones too. That's the only ones coming to my mind though. But I know I've seen two or three different things. You can take. I made my own things for a long time. If you take like a piece of sheathing, like cut it, say, eight, whatever your circular saw is, plus a few inches. So maybe like, 10 inches, something like that. You can start out with 12. Just rip you a 12-inch sheet of sheathing and then take you a 1x4 or something and screw it to just give you an edge. And then once you use that with your saw, you'll cut off whatever the cut mark is on that piece of sheathing. You can use that. I actually made some out of like laminate flooring and stuff a long time ago, back before I had a track saw, and kind of whenever there wasn't very many track saw options out there, I just made myself two things and just used it as a straight edge kind of to run my circular saw on. But then that makes it so you can still use it in the same way you use a track saw as far as just lining up your edge of that board with your two cut lines. You can mark it on both sides and then you don't have to mess with the whole, you know, trying to figure out some other way to clamp something at a certain measurement, off an inch and a half more than whatever your measurement is. It just takes all that kind of math out of it, and you just line that up with your cut lines. 10 bucks a sheet. That's pretty low for OSB. Yeah, I actually bought, and I noticed today, and I didn't even know that Lowe's carried it. So I went in there and I was back and forth on whether or not I wanted to get, because I got a bunch of 5/8 still here, but I didn't have room to pack it. Like I was like, well, I'll just take this because I think I'm going to have too much for my shelves, which I still got to use quite a bit of it to make some shelves. But I was like, the widest shelf was going to be like 22 inches or something before it got to another support. And I was just like, I think I can get by with 7/16. And it was like $13 and something, a sheet or something like that. But then Lowe's had a 1/2 inch for $11 a sheet. So it was cheaper than 7/16. But I guess it's cheaper because it's like not as common. Like they're going to sell more 7/16 because that's what most people end up using in building. But I didn't know they even sold 1/2 inch, which is handy to kind of know because there's a lot of times where sometimes we build temporary stuff or somebody wants like a plywood wall up that's a temporary thing. And then most door jambs are kind of figured for 1/2 inch drywall on both sides, like your stock is. But if you use like 7/16 on both sides, you're gonna end up, your trim's gonna be a little weird. So you could buy 1/2 inch OSB and it should come out right. So I didn't know they had it. I've never seen 1/2 inch OSB before today. I already have the 7 1/4 circular saw. Yeah, I know that Craig's got something that you can mount it to. Now, how easy it is to take on and off, like Craig's basically got a plate that you put on the bottom of your saw, and then you buy their tracks and use it that way. What's up, Curtis? Chilling and watching Dexter. I've got Paramount Plus or whatever. My son got it for me for Father's Day, or I don't know. What he got it for me for now? But I had watched the original Dexter a long time ago, but we watched the one after, is it Resurrection or something like that? But then the other ones that are after that, you have to have some others. You got to pay more money on Paramount. Like for we've got ads and all that kind of stuff. You have to buy the special one. Sometimes they get sheet goods in that are from Brazil and some crazy place, and it's cheaper. What's up, Fake Properties? I do have quite a few new things that I've gotten, but they're all things that I can't talk about. But I haven't got any new tools for a while, it seems like in my mind, like I'm almost itching for one. But I haven't seen a lot of things out that I'm just like, oh, I got to have that. Of course, like I said, there's new Vito bags, but you can't buy all those. Like somebody can, I guess. But I'll end up with two of them without paying a whole lot of money for them. I've been watching the House of David. The season 2 just finally came available on Amazon. Like there for a while, you had to be like subscribed to whatever it was on, I guess. But now it's on Amazon Prime. Like you can watch the season 2 of it. So I've been watching it. I don't know what episode I'm on, but yeah, Paramount's now annoying me that I have to pay more. Yeah, we watched the Yellow Jackets through to whatever I think maybe the last season or season 4 or something. You can't watch unless you got some kind of special, like the higher price point. After seeing your pencil review was around $10. Pika is 20 or so. Pika is highly rated. Don Shop. You talking to me? Or are you talking to Curtis? Have a pencil review, or I don't know what pencil review I had in the last little bit. Acme's killing me. Bought 3 different times. Had to pay shipping 3 times. Need it all in one day. Yeah, I bought the sockets, the Weehaw, the 3/8. I think they just shipped yesterday, so I should be getting those. I bought those whatever day that was that they were on sale. Well, like you bought one and got they were on sale for maybe like $14 or something. And then you also got the other set for free. Acme needs a yearly subscription to cover shipping. Yeah, the ones that like over $2.99 you get free shipping, or over $1.99. It's like, well, how many times am I going? I mean, unless I'm buying a saw or something from you, it's like very rare that I'm going to be over $299 worth of hand tools. Like I'd have to sit there and spend forever trying to even find that much stuff to buy hand tools. Like if you're just going to get something that's new, because Acme Tools actually usually has all the stuff a little bit earlier than everybody else. So like you could get it a little bit earlier, but I'm not paying an extra $7 just to get it like a few days earlier, or whatever it is. I might have to turn my air on. It's starting to get warm out here. I haven't even ran the air yet. Bump, bump, bump. We'll see how fast she goes down. 77 at 7:03. Have you got the rolling pack out drawer? 250, so expensive, waiting for the buy more, save more. Yeah, I've got it over. I've got a review for it. I don't use it in my truck or anything. It's too tall. Um, yeah, I got it right there. Oh, I got. Get this twisted. So I'm just using mine in my garage right now, so I'm not wheeling it around or anything like that. I have been using my rolling Klein mod box. I put my paint supplies in that, and then because this week I had to go to a customer's house. They had wire shelving, and he told me that it just fell down and ripped all the anchors out of the wall and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't know what happened because it had already been done, So I was like a little bit curious about that. And then he showed me, he said, and I wanted you to look at my other closet because I'm afraid it's going to happen in there too. And basically, whoever installed the shelves before on the back wall mounts, they only put in the ones where you pop it down in it. So they got like a anchor, and then it's almost like a little U, and then you push the metal wire down, the wire shelf part down in that, and it grabs and it's fine. But if it like, so I, based on whenever I looked at his other one, I'm like, well, this is what happened. Now that I see this is like, because he already had like three of them that were popped up out of it. So basically, it popped up out of it, came forward enough to come down, and of course, those L brackets or the angle brackets aren't any strength if it goes this way. I said, so I'm gonna get you some metal clips. So I had to patch all the drywall where all the anchors pulled out, and then paint, and then rehang the shelf, which I put them all in studs, and then I just I bought the metal clips that wrap around the wire, and that way they're metal for one, and now they're into studs instead of anchors, so they're not coming out. 49 degrees in western New York. Yeah, today's kind of the first day that it got like it might have got up. I don't know what the ended up degrees ended up being. Let me see what it even says it is out. It says it's 77 outside too. It got up in the 80s today, but it's also been like today's the first day. I guess we might have had some 80-degree days before now, but it's been doing the whole, you know, 40 degrees in the morning when you get up until about, 11 or 12, and then it might get up into the, 60s or 70s. But now today, like this morning, it was like close to 70 whenever I left the house, and then it's got it in the 80s today. So now I finally got like my 17 jackets that are sitting in my passenger seat where I'd wear one every morning and then take it off halfway through the day and put it in my passenger seat. I got all those out of my truck today and put them back in the house, because that's pretty much my ritual is you put one on, then you take it off, and then you forget it and leave it in your truck, and the next morning you got to grab a different one. If my tool budget was higher this month, I would have gotten the M12 Brad nailer. I've been using that quite a bit. I've been using that a lot actually compared to using my bigger M18 one, because a lot of times I guess I'm only using the inch and whatever it is, inch and a half nails or whatever for a lot of stuff. It's definitely way smaller. Like it's kind of like using the pin nailer. I use that pink spackling for smaller holes. Yeah, I had one of them was a chunk that blew out that was about like this, and then I had a couple of them that were a little bit smaller where it basically pulled out. But I did 2 coats of 5 minute. I went over there one day, did 2 coats of 5 minute mud, and then did a coat of the dust control. So I did 3 coats, and then I just went over top of like I filled in the holes where all the little pegs were that held the back of the shell, because there's quite a few of them that was there. I just filled them all in with 5 minute mud, and then with my final coat, I just did like a whole pass over top of all of them, and then I went back the next day and sanded and painted, like sanded those, primed all my patches and all that stuff, and then painted the whole entire closet, like wall to wall where I was working, and then rehung that shelf. But I mostly did the 5 minutes so I can get multiple coats, because I had a couple of them that were pretty good sized chunks that came out. 1.5 nail is the most common. I use either 2 inch or 1.5 inch a lot of times. Like I use 2 inch in my M18 ones. That's pretty. So that's how my setup is now. I just put 2 inch nails in my M18, and then I put 1.5 inch in my M12. And now I don't ever have to, because used to, whenever I only had my M18, there's times where 2 inch is just too long, and then there's times where 1.5 inch is not long enough, and you'd have to swap back and forth sometimes, even in the same job. Like especially like your door casing, like to get that, if you're putting a nail in the edge, depends on what the casing is that you're using, like over into the jam, you use a long nail, there's a pretty good chance sometimes it's gonna, come out. Then you end up having to patch some of that stuff. So I usually used to switch back and forth. Going down to 32 tonight here in the mountains of northern Arizona. Yeah, because Matt said he normally buys heavy duty metal rods for closets and a sleeve the inside with conduit. They never bend. Yeah, whenever I looked at his shelf, he actually had like a pretty heavy duty wire shelf. It was one of those that had the double things on the outside and like hooks and stuff on it. Like it wasn't just like your normal cheap one. And I was just like, man, I can't imagine that. I said, "What'd you have on there?" And he's like, "Just some sweaters." And I was like, "Well, that didn't make it come off," because this was before I saw the other one to figure. Because, like I said, I'm looking at a wall with holes in it. I don't even know what kind of anchors were in there or anything because they've been out for a long time. And then as soon as I went over and looked in his other closet, I'm like, "Oh, well, here's what happened. Somebody didn't put in," because you can use those little U clips and pop them down in there, but you're supposed to put uh, like what I used was the metal one. They've got plastic ones too, but the little it's like a clamp that's got a screw on the top and the bottom that wraps around it. That makes it so it can't pop up. So you can pop your shelf down in there and then just add a couple of those somewhere so it can't come back out. But whoever did it didn't do that. That 5 minute mud doesn't dry well when you put it on thick. It doesn't dry in 5 minutes. No, this wasn't crazy thick, but it was almost like a tapered. It basically the anchor pulled the a big chunk of drywall out, but it was still like tapered into the little small hole. It didn't pull out like the whole entire drywall piece, but it was more of a wide patch. But if you'd have done like the spackling what you had, it would have took at that thickness, it would have took forever for it to dry. And the 5 minute too is like sometimes you'll touch it, it looks wet still, but if you touch it and it's not like you're not getting your fingerprints and stuff in it, you can go ahead and put another coat on top of it. It's not like especially if it's not your final, coat or whatever. It's not like where sometimes if you mess with your final coat of drywall mud, you've been messing with it and you're like, "Oh, I can get a little bit better." Or if you put your that mud on top of wet mud, it doesn't dry, like it makes a mess sometimes. 5 minute mud doesn't tend to do that for me. Somebody said he shoots a little foam in there, shaves it when it's dry, and then put in sand. Terminator bought the silicone mud pan. That's what I'm keeping in my drywall box. That's all I've been using. I keep a 14-inch pan in my truck, and I just use it. I put some other stuff in it, kind of use it like a holder spot in the back of my truck for a few things. But then that gives me a stainless steel 14-inch pan if I want one, because that's what my biggest skimming blade that I can use one handed will fit in that 14-inch pan. I think it's a 14-inch skimming blade. But other than that, I pretty much just use that silicone uh, mud mud deal. It doesn't really scrape the mud off the knife as well as like a metal one does. Obviously, that's without using. I don't use that little. I bought the metal thing on it that's supposed to make that better, but I don't. I don't use that. I just it works well enough for patches. Like that's mostly what I'm using it for is patches. Like if I'm gonna do a whole walls of drywall, I'm just going to use my stainless steel pan. I'm not going to use that, but I just use that one for patches because it's worked out pretty good for me a couple times where I couldn't clean up after myself as well based on the situation where I was at. They didn't have like a sink or water was off or whatever. and I've just left my mud in there, and then I clean it whenever I get home. Did you ever get Jester Metalworks sign? No, I emailed him I emailed him and said something because I finally found his email and I emailed him to let him know that that was my email, but no, I never have got it. What's up, Andrew? Got to sound like a sword fight while doing drywall. Yeah, using your metal pans. You got to have that sound. Ting, ting. Making one out of acrylic for me, I asked. Yeah, I'm also I've been trying to find some sort of a sign. So y'all can, let me get y'all some measurements going here. I've been looking for, because I'm going to have a lot of power cords and stuff back here because I think I'm even going to move some extra chargers over here. But all this stuff isn't stuff I'm going to need to access. I've been looking for, let me give me a tape measure. Like, I found some Klein signs. I found a few other signs that I kind of liked, but I'm looking for, give me, I'd like to just mount something across there. So I've got, and it wouldn't have to cover the whole thing. Like it could be like from here to here or whatever, but 14 3/4 by 48. That's tight. So a little less than that probably. That I can just mount there and cover all this. I could also, if I really had to, if I find something that's height wise would be better to be smaller, I could lower this some too and just cut this off because it wouldn't be hard to do. While I got y'all out like this, I'll go ahead and we'll go on a tour. So I had a receptacle. Oh yeah, it's blowing some cold air. We're down 2 degrees. I had a receptacle inside of here. So this, I decided I was going to take this all. This is just stuff I'm putting here for now. This won't be this way. Like once I finally get everything, I've just been throwing stuff on shelves as I can. So that's a big cluster bomb. But I decided I was going to go ahead and leave this wider. I kept all my skinnier shelves, but that way I've got the option to put some wider ones in there too if I want to. But I had a plug back there I had to get rid of. I ran, so I went ahead and poked it out on this other side. And then I've got my power coming over, put it into a box here. And then that way I got my switch that'll be for this little room. I've got the wire, up there already for whenever I get my ceiling in. I'm gonna have to get a light. Let me see. I got one here. I was able to finally get my file cabinets at least moved in here out of my way. But what I'm going to end up doing there, I'm going to put 2 of them here. And then that way I'll have a shelf on that wall that I can tuck stuff back in there. But I'll have multiple. I'll probably put like one shelf. I'm going to have a shelf where that seam is all the way around. So that's going to cover all that up. So the only thing I got left to do in here, I got to add some framing from this to those so that I can add a piece of this here so that my ceiling grid, I have something to screw to. So to raise this ceiling, that's all I got left to do in here before I can get to the drop ceiling. But I've got all the other sheathing up. And here's my, mini split stuff going outside, going into that chase. And then I'm just going to stuff insulation right there. And I'm going to have a shelf basically, right above that so that I can still access that if I want to, and then get to all that. So that's ultimately all I really. I've got my 2x4s and stuff today. I picked them up to be able to do this whenever I have time. And then this is a big cluster because I've just been throwing stuff in here. So right now I'm just throwing stuff in here that's hopefully I'm not going to use much. And out here, I got all the sheathing up except for the little bottom 12 inches all the way around. So that way I can run all my electric and stuff in those. And I'm just going to use what I'm going to do so that I can basically wherever I want to plug, so that I can make sure I get these in the center of, some of these panels or something. I'm just going to use cut-in boxes like this and run my wire. And then I've got a ton of these 2-gang ones because I got these on clearance at Home Depot for like, I don't know, 30 cents a box or something one day. So since I got a bunch of them, I'm going to use that. And then I've got a bunch of, ordered these off Amazon. I'm not going to put in quad receptacles because I don't need that many out here. So I'm just going to use it as a way to be able to fit wires in there a whole lot easier and just put one in there. I do have a few things over here that I got to make videos for. But I got this whiteboard here. I've had this one for a long time. My electric panel is behind that right now. I'm going to have that on something where I can just slide it over and access it, like basically just be able to move that left and right. But whether or not I'm going to use that to write on, or I may stick stickers on that, I don't know. But that's where I'm at down here. So basically in here, I'm at the point of running some electric and then finishing up my bottom. And then I'll be pretty well done in here. And I got to get me a couple more 2x12s that I messed up on what I bought. I thought I bought 10 footers and I bought 8 footers. So I had to use my cutoffs just to make me some temporary stairs. But basically that over there, that doorway is a lot skinnier than this one because I didn't want to have to get over. I didn't want to end up having to lose a shelf over there. And there's plenty of room. Like it's like 34 inches or something like that. And I'm only going to be carrying like that kind of stuff in and out of there. So it's not like I'm going to be pulling big tools or something out of there. But that one would for sure be easier to put a door on because I can just go buy a regular door slab for that one. Seems like it's blurry. And just hang it like a barn door. This one over here, this is like a weird size, like 40 something inches. So I'd have to probably make one for this one. I could order one, but it'd probably cost me a lot of money. So there's a Acme toolbox. That was that Crescent tool bag. Put a sign on a piano hinge. And I've still had a bunch of stink bugs in here. Like I thought that season was over, but whenever I was taking that metal off around the outside of what was the outside of my original building, man, they were up in there like crazy. So I've still been killing them like crazy in here to get rid of them. You ever use channel lock lineman pliers? I don't think so. I can't remember ever having a pair. Never liked the pans for drywall. I like using the Hawk. I've never tried a Hawk. I get the appeal of it though. Like I can understand it. It just take a little while to get used to it because I've never done it. Don't forget you laid your tape measure down with a DVR. Oh, I got them. I got 17,000 of them all over this place, Tim. Except for the place where you need them. I Oh, I do have a button on there. I thought I lost a button there. Yeah, I'm 2 buttons up though now. Yeah, I got 1 button gone. That's what turned this one into a work shirt, but I had 2 undone. Y'all almost was getting some belly. He's gonna put a little Debbie stash behind the recorder cover. Oh, put a sign. Yeah, I got you, Clint. Now put a piano hinge on a sign so I can just fold it up if I want to. Yeah, that would be good. Everybody's getting Terry advice on his mirror. Yeah, I very rarely, if it's a very big mirror, I very rarely got them off without breaking them. Like, because like what some way said, they've been glued all over on his. That's how they've always been on mine too, like big dots all over the whole back of it, not just the edges. If it's a big one, can't believe the workbench was 600. It's only 379 on Amazon, so it's not 600 on. It's 600 on Walmart, but it was 379. I don't know if it still is, but it was 379 on Amazon. Make them a 4 square. Well, I was gonna mount boxes and run wire, but then I was just like, then I gotta figure out, which it'd be pretty easy to see now, where my sheathing's gonna hit. I just didn't wanna have it to where you've got a plug box, like, barely over one of those joints in the siding, and then doesn't look like you're gonna stare at that all the time. It's gonna drive you crazy. So I was like, I'm just gonna cut my own holes and put the and like I said, I've got that many boxes and then a whole nother box of that many boxes because they were like, I thought they were going to end up being a penny deal. So I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and, because the times where I found a penny deal, if I go back in there and get more, they end up catching on to it. So I'm just like, I'm gonna go up there and just buy all these because even if because they were on sale for like 50 cents or something, it was still something dirt cheap. So I'm like, I'm buying them anyways, even at 50 cents, but they might ring up for a penny. So I'm gonna try it. And I've got tons of them. Sticky traps work really well for bugs. Yeah, I put up they had some of those on clearance the same day I bought the hummingbird nectar. They had some of these fly paper traps back there. I've got one hanging up right there, and I've got some flies on it. Not very many. There's maybe like 6 or 7 or something like that. Because I get flies out here too sometimes, which I'm hoping it's going to be better like this time. They're going around this year because this is definitely a better sealed off building than what it used to be. Um, but I got to get rid of all the bugs that were living in the outside of it and everything else, and lizards and all that kind of stuff. Like I used to have lizards in here like crazy, which is probably not time of year for them yet. Probably about to hit, and I haven't seen one yet. So hopefully, after maybe a couple years of killing some stuff, it won't be as bad in here. Could you put in wall sliding pocket doors? Wall sliding pocket doors. If I I basically put a big 2x10 on the other side, so I could just put like barn door hardware up there if I wanted to, and just mount it that way. It'd be like putting a barn door, but on the others, like on the closet side, is what I was gonna do. Now I could do a double door there and just get two slabs, like two smaller slabs, I guess, like maybe probably 224s would work, and just bring them like this and shut it on that one, and it'd be cheaper than probably getting like a 40. So I want to say it's 40. I know where my tape measure is. Timinator just told me. Let's see what I got here. Of course, it's got to be a little bit bigger than whatever that one is. So yeah, I'm like at 38 here. So I'd have to buy like a 40-inch door at least. You really want to get even a little bit bigger than that. But I could get two 24s would be fine. And then just have them open like this and shut together like that. And get me a big Clint and Bowery sticker, put it in half and half on each door, so when you shut it, they come together. Well, we're down 6 degrees in about 20 minutes. So that means the air works. I knew it did because I haven't turned it on AC mode, but I turned it on dehumidifying, and basically that thing uses like AC, like a dehumidifier. So because it was getting super cold in here whenever I was running the dehumidifier. I've kept my other dehumidifier. Y'all can't see it, but it's still sitting over here. I've been running it because I don't turn that on unless I'm coming out here for an extended period of time. Like I don't keep this garage like pristine temperature all the time, 100% of the time. Now during the winter time, I leave it set on like 50 or whatever the lowest setting is, just because I'm gonna start keeping some stuff out here that I don't want to freeze. My house was built in 92. Why do my dimmer switches not have a ground? Mm, well, I mean, most of the time, you have metal boxes. Depending, I mean, if you have metal boxes, then they might have, but is your, they'd almost have to have conduit though to not have a ground. But sometimes they'll take a ground wires. A lot of times in houses, whenever I go in them, they don't hook up ground wires to the devices, and they just put them together and put them in the back of the box, which in a plastic box, it's not doing you any good. But I don't know. I don't know if I've done a lot of 90s houses. Mine's probably like a 1960s house. And then most of the stuff I work on is probably newer than 90s. Now, there's a lot of switches that don't have neutrals in them. That's like a certain, like my house, there's no neutrals in any of my switch boxes. So whenever you want to run like a smart switch, like I put smart switch here, and I've actually been debating on, I put toggle switches on these, but I think I might swap them to smart switches because I've always had this set up so that like whenever I walk out that door, I flip this one switch and it turns off all my lights in here. Like no matter I it only turns on all the time, this light up here, and then I control the rest of them by this. I just turn them off and on. But even if I turn these on with this, all the receptacles that this works is still on that light switch. So whenever I leave, whenever I hit that light switch, it turns off all the lights. But I have found myself, I'll go down there and work and turn that light on, and then I'll come up here and do something, and then thinking I'm gonna go back down there, and then I don't. Or even this wall here or whatever, And then I get in the house and I'm like, did I turn off those lights out there? I don't know if I turned off those. And then I walk all the way back out here, and then sometimes I turn them off, sometimes I didn't. So I think I'm gonna get smart switches and put on all of them so that I can, if I'm laying in bed and being like, oh, I didn't turn that light off, I just get on my phone and turn them off. Lizards will eat the bugs. I love clearance, but now here they put it in the back of Lowe's and Home Depot. It used to be in the middle of the building. My Home Depot, Don, I mentioned it earlier, is they got rid of both the clearance sections, and they've just started kind of putting yellow tags here and there, like on they keep whatever it is on the shelf. Now every now and then they do have a cart sitting out there. Maybe it's stuff they had to pull off the shelf, I guess. But uh they used to have like two end aisles at mine. Tim said I told you you'd thank me. What's up, Perez? I see that Home Depot is carrying do-it-yourself mini splits. Yeah, but mine's got, I can't remember what the brand name was, but mine's got some too. My buddy we did finally get the outside unit, so I'll be going and hooking up his and filming that before too long in his garage. Another toe soap. Switched it to my Captain Morgan hat last week out of town. Yeah, we were in Savannah, Georgia last week. What's up, CE Tooled In? Normally when you do your lives on Wednesday, I'm in Bible class. You guys use the pistol grip icon pliers. I've got them. I've used them a few times, but it's normally just reaching in to get something. Like I don't keep them. They're not in my truck. Like they're down there in my toolbox. It's down there. Like it's not a tool I keep on me. I don't use them all the time or anything. They're nice sometimes though when you're going in somewhere. It seems like you got more control with it than you do like squeezing on a pair of pliers like that. Did they keep Amanda? I had to drive. Me or my son had to drive the whole time we were in Georgia. She couldn't drive because she's suspended. Her driver's privileges are suspended in Georgia. CE rubs late for lives. I can't stay the entire night. Amanda happy not driving. I don't know. She once we got back and we hit Chattanooga, we pulled over and then she drove, like basically she drove anytime where we weren't in Georgia. She likes driving, I think, but we'll see you, Tim. Now I've scooted the camera back enough. The white legs are in full effect. But yeah, I'll be so glad to get that area over there done because then I can actually start. I'm more like if I get that down there is just whatever. Like that ain't no big deal to me. But that over there is going to make a big difference in me finally getting organized because I've just been for the last probably 6 months or more. I've just been. I came out here and cleaned up out here for about an hour and a half today just to even get to where I could move in here because I don't really have a home for a lot of things because I'm moving everything around and moving stuff. And then so whenever I'm unloading my truck, I don't really have somewhere where I specifically am putting whatever it is I'm getting out, and then I had to wait till I get whatever else to put in my truck, and then I end up putting whatever that was I just took out back in its place, and it's just been a whole big thing. So I'll be glad. It's gonna be nice because I'm gonna get a lot of shelving storage over there and move some of this stuff out of here that doesn't even need to be in here. Mm. But next week, I think I will be back in time for Thursday. And then the guest of trade, I can't remember who's next, but I'm gonna try to film it tomorrow. So I haven't got it filmed yet. I've been busy. Like I said, if you go on vacation as the sole business owner, uh, you come back, nobody did your work for you while you were gone. Like if you work for a company and you got other people doing your stuff. Now my buddy of mine, we were doing a job together, and he pretty much was able to keep working on that, and luckily he got it like pretty well done. So that let me all this week go do, because normally we work on stuff like bigger jobs, and then I go do my stuff kind of after. Like we'll work most of the day on those, and then like before I come home, I'll go do a couple smaller jobs or whatever it is. But I had a bunch of those backed up, and I was able to knock out some of them since I was afraid whenever I got back, we were still going to have quite a bit of work to do on that tile job, but he had already laid all the tile. Like, so the day I got back, he grouted while I kept going and getting clean buckets of water and all that kind of stuff. So it worked out really well that he did all that. And you will never have enough storage. Yeah, we don't have out here where I live, you can't get like the Comcast, the Spectrum, whatever all the fancy ones are that are the big names. Ours is like a local co-op fiber company thing, which we just were able to get fiber whenever I got fiber. I've had DSL forever. Plus, if you use smart switches, you can have disco light shows on streams. Yeah, I normally buy, they're like called Martin and Jerry or something like that. That's what I've got in my house, and I've liked them pretty well. They hook into the Smart Life app, and then you can hook them into your Google Home or whatever if you want to. Because I've got a lot of those little Google, whatever they're called, the little puck things. I don't have the Alexas. I've got the Google ones. And you can just say, "Hey, turn off these lights, turn on the TV, whatever." He did all the tiles. Thank goodness does he do wallpaper too. I got my mini split install quote for my 1917 bungalow, 18K. You HVAC guys have it good. Yeah, the one that they sent for me to install for my buddy, it was like mine's a 12,000. I think his is an 18,000, which his garage area that he's heating and cooling's bigger than mine too, so that works out pretty good. But this one has an ERV or something on it. I think that's the real reason why they were wanting me to make a video. Like it's got it pulled, which they offered to send me that one for this, but I didn't want to mess with the piping to get it outside. Uh, so I guess it does something where it pulls in fresh air, but it also mixes it with exhaust or something, does something, whatever an ERV does. I'll have to look it up and see. I know what it does. I don't know how to explain it, I guess. But basically, you're getting a fresh air intake, but it doesn't just pull in the hot outside air. It kind of pulls it in and then also does the cooling on the air before it kind of swaps the exhaust air with the intake air so that it offsets it so you're not just pulling in hot air during the summertime or cold air during the wintertime type of thing. I can't remember what I've got. I didn't buy the most they've got multiple options with mine as far as the speed you can get, but, like, going to what I have now compared to what I did have, because what I did have, I think I pulled, like, it wasn't so much my download speed, it was my upload speed, but one of them was, like, 2, or something, whatever it was, like 2 megabytes or something like that. And then before, whenever I had DSL, and then the smallest package with the fiber that I've got is, I want to say 250 or something like that's what I've got now. And it's like, so I knew I was making it work with what I did have, which was super slow. So I'm like, I'm not paying for the fastest speed because what you're going to be giving me is going to be like 50,000 times faster than what I had. Clients scream about 50 to $100 to adjust a poorly installed exterior door. Yeah, there's certain customers who don't want to pay no matter what it is. Like they don't understand. It's like today, and definitely not this customer didn't want to pay me because they just pretty much told me whatever it was, come do it, type of thing. So I just did it time and material. But the things people don't understand that happens, like with every job, is like today I had to get up, I had to load my miter saw, I had to load my table saw, I had to buy a miter saw, I had to buy a table saw, I had to load those in my truck, a stand, screws and fasteners and all that kind of stuff. I had to think about all that kind of stuff. What am I going to need? Put it in my truck. Then I had to go to the store and buy like 42 by fours and 6 sheets of sheathing and load those up in my truck, and so that I can take them out there and use them. So then whenever I get to the house, I have to unload all that stuff and put them on saw horses or do whatever. I have to unload my table saw. I have to unload my miter saw, cut it all, make it fit, make it all work, do all those things. Then whenever I'm done with all that, I get to load all that stuff back up in my truck again. I take back some of the stuff that I didn't end up using or do whatever, and then unload my table saw, my miter saw, and all that stuff. It's like, but they only see the little bit that you're there, and don't understand that there's a lot more that goes into this than me just being at your house for 20 minutes to fix something. Because that's what me and my buddy were loading up all that sheathing at the end today, and the extra 2x4s and the like all the saws and the trash and all that, and getting it in your truck and putting all your tools back up that you used the whole time you were doing it. And we were like, this is the stuff that people don't understand. Nice about fiber, download and upload speed is the same. Oh, for sure the like uploading a YouTube video, like before, whenever I was on my DSL, it would take every bit of, for like an 8-minute tool review video, it'd take every bit of like 3.5 hours probably to upload that video. And now it's like seconds. Like, I mean, not, it's probably maybe minutes, I guess, not seconds, like 2 or 3 minutes at the most. It's crazy. The only internet I've ever used that was faster is the town that I work in, where I worked at the campus that I work for. I guess it's a bigger fiber company or something. It was fiber too, and I could upload it. That's why sometimes whenever I made my videos, whenever I first started this channel and I do them on my workbench at my office, I'd upload them from my work computer because it would take like no time, like instantly almost. Cost them 125 just for me to start the van. You all are worth at least 80. Yeah, my minimum is, for me to even just go and show up is $100 because I'm not, like, for me that, but that includes me driving to you and like my first hour or whatever it is, and that's if I'm doing it time and material. Anything that I estimate and give a price on, it's more expensive. But I do that on purpose because I prefer people who just say, just come and do it. And I usually tell people up front, I'm like, I can give you an estimate. I can come out and look at it and figure up everything, give you a price, but it will be more than if I just come do it. If you let me just drive out there, see what's wrong with it and fix it. Because if I got to drive out there, look at it and give you a price and then drive back out there again and do it, it's going to cost you more. Because I don't do free estimates unless, I mean, I do if you don't end up picking me, but it's in my price. I use a 12-foot enclosed trailer. I've got one, Don, and sometimes if I'm doing a bigger job that's going to be multiple days to keep me from unloading and loading and unloading and loading, I will use it. But most of the time, if it's like today was just going to be a part of the day job and I didn't want to drag all that around, it's not easy to maneuver a 12-foot trailer in the town I work in, too. It's like watching one of the old Godzilla movies with the delay between the sound and the video. So, they were saying it's been like that on multiple lives they've been watching. So, like I said, there's zero settings for me to mess with on a YouTube live. Like, there's not much I can do. So, if it is something with me, there's nothing I can change. Licensed trades make the money. Self-employed business owners make the money, but there's a lot more risk with it. Or that's the way it is in my area, anyways. It's the owners, it's the company people, like the people who work for them. Now, there's a few people that make good money in the trades like that, but the most of the just workers and stuff, they don't make nothing compared to. So, like at an electrical company where I live, like there'll be a few people up towards the top that are making pretty good money, but then the rest of them, because I've heard them say how much they make, they just be complaining about it or do whatever, and I'm just like, yeah, I'd be doing something else. Are you still liking the Klein drawers in your truck more than Milwaukee? Yes, for sure. I'm actually debating on whether or not I want to go ahead and do my other side. It's a big difference not having to mess with that uh, lever, especially now that I've actually got kind of the way that whenever I built my bottom box, I did it so that I could move my seats back farther after I took my back seat actually out. But now, because of the way I built that, I don't have as much room between my seat, which it being on my passenger side is not a big deal because normally I just leave my passenger seat up more to deal with the Milwaukee little metal bar thing. But now all those are actually closer to my seats than what they were truckload out number 2, 3, whatever it was. So now they hit my seat every time unless I actually move my seat up. So now I'm definitely glad that I got the Klein on my driver's side because then I don't have to move my seat any. But every now and then, the passenger side, I just go ahead and leave it kind of scooted up unless somebody's riding in there with me. I tell them, you can scoot that back 'cause there's room. I just leave it up because I have to have room for my Milwaukee little bar thing to come down. One more day, then off for a week to play with tools and get yard up to snuff. Yeah, I've started mowing. I think I've mowed twice now. And then we're in the dandelion season here. So you can mow. I actually just mowed, and like 2 days later, it doesn't even look like it because of stupid dandelions. And I've got too big a yard. I'm not paying the money to go around and kill a bunch of dandelions and all that. Like it, I'm not spending bukus of money. I just keep mowing them. We'll see you, buddy. See you, Clint. Bad here too. Yeah, they pop up like almost like it seems like the next day after you mow. Like it's like how them things already that big already. Like I mean, boom. I need to mow then treat the yard. Yeah, if I had a smaller yard, I'd definitely spend the time to just because it's easier. Like right now, I need to mow just to mow the dandelions so my yard looks decent. It's like there's a lot less like if you spend the time to get your grass good, there's a lot less like times where you save a lot more time in the mowing side of things if you're somebody like Amanda's crazy about the yard looking a certain way. So I gotta mow extra times. But it's just I'm not doing that for I think I mow probably I never have figured out exactly how much I mow, but I probably mow like 3 or 4 acres, I guess. It's like I'm not treating 3 or 4 acres worth of grass. I take a weed whacker. Yeah, I haven't bought any water heaters at I haven't bought anything really at Menards other than lumber so far. I might have bought a couple light fixtures. I bought quite a bit of lumber at Menards though. You're saying Tom said he bought a water heater that was the same model as a supply house. I've been pretty impressed with Menards on stock supplies. Like they usually have about anything almost. Like I mean, I've even looked for some weird stuff that I'm like, ain't no way somebody's gonna have this. Like even the time I did a black door, exterior front door, it was like this two double door with side lights and all this other stuff, and they had vinyl siding, but the door was just a hair smaller than the one that was in there. And I needed to get my trim out to where the vinyl siding J channel and all that was. And I wasn't gonna be able to do it with the trim that came on the door because it was just it fit in the opening fine. It just made it be too small. And sure enough, Menards had black PVC trim and black PVC brick mold and all that stuff right there in stock in the store. Mm, mm, mm. Yeah, I'm getting sleepy myself. I've been tired all week. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's maybe because I took a hit off my diet train while we were on vacation, and then I came back, and now I'm back on it. And usually, the first couple of days of getting off sugar, you just don't feel good. Lumber's pretty good there. Yeah, I like most of their stuff, especially like it's cleaner. Like those 2x12s I got were from there, and very few like that had knots or anything. And I actually went to Lowe's and was getting some other stuff for a job and thought, well, while I'm here, I'm going to be loading this stuff on the top of my truck. I'm going to go ahead and grab me a 2x12 to make my steps out of the house. And I dug through about 10 of them. I'm just like, there ain't none of these that look like they all were horrible. I'm just like, I'll just wait and go to Menards, I guess. Cause like every one of them I pulled out at Menards was good. Menards has garage door track in stock. Never seen it since. I've got a job coming up where I'm putting in a exterior man door on a garage. They don't want me to do it till after school's out, but they wanted to do because their jams are rotting on the bottom, and then they wanted to change out their brick mold on their garage door, and then also their weather stripping was in bad shape. So I was like, well, you probably ought to go ahead and get this weather stripping too, and I'll get PVC brick mold. And that way it's all like kind of new and mostly all vinyl. And Menards has like 17 foot, because I was like, it's a double door, and it has like those 22.5 degree like corners on them and stuff. But I was like, I bet I got to go to the garage door place to get that long piece of trim, and but I can get brick mold, PVC brick mold, and the vinyl weather stripping at Menards, like in 18, 20 foot lengths or something like that, in stock. Mm, mm, mm. Yeah, Home Depot and Lowe's lumber in the last year has gotten pretty rough. Like, it's nowhere near like what it used to. It was always the 8 foot studs at Lowe's were good, and the 10 foot studs at Home Depot were good. And then other than that, they were all everything else was crap. But now even like I had to buy for today. I was gonna get 8 foot studs, and my, they were all garbage. So we got the 92 and 5/8 or whatever it is, the pre-cut studs instead, because they were better. Mm. But it's 8 o'clock, and I'm not CE tooled in. I can't roll all night. So I guess we'll get off here. Again, I don't know who the guest of trade is going to be or what the bag is even. I'll have to look and see. But again, I'm planning on filming that tomorrow. I got a little bit lighter day tomorrow. Dun, dun, dun. I can't think of anything else I was going to mention. I'm looking at my little board over here. But we'll see y'all in the live chat on Saturday. And we'll just have to figure out who we think it is. So I've been trying to get the guess the trade out a little bit earlier, because I know some of you like to go guess a little bit earlier just by looking at the thumbnail. But this week has been bananas, so I ain't even had a free afternoon. But you've lost weight, Joey, so of course you don't row. But we'll see y'all on Saturday, or not see you, but talk to you in the chat. Y'all have a good Friday, and hopefully you get to rest up some this weekend.